The smartest way to destroy those who hurt you without saying a word. Some wounds never bleed yet, they gnaw at a person for years. It's not the punch to the face that breaks you, but the knife in the back. It's not the broken bone, but the broken trust. Have you ever felt that? A friend betraying you, a colleague sabotaging you, a family member turning their back, or someone who once swore they loved you suddenly vanishing when you needed them the most? The real pain doesn't lie in the act itself, but in the haunting. It clings to your mind, keeping you awake at night, forcing you to replay the same question thousands of times. Why did they do this to me? In that moment, the most instinctive reaction is to react. You want to scream to get revenge, to make them feel pain 100 times worse. But that is the trap. Because the moment you react, you hand over control of your emotions to the person who hurt you. They want to see your anger. They want to see you collapse. They want proof that they can reach the deepest part of your soul. And you know what? Most people fall straight into that trap. The Stoics saw this thousands of years ago. Epictetus once said, "We are not troubled by events, but by the judgments we make about them." The betrayal, the insult, the cold silence already happened. But it's your choice to hold on, replay them, and let them define who you are that makes the wound eternal. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. So what is the Stoic path? It's not shouting louder, not striking harder, but choosing silence. Not the silence of weakness, but the silence of strength. The silence of someone who doesn't need to explain, doesn't need to prove, doesn't need justice delivered by another's hand. Silence is not an escape. Silence is the declaration you no longer have power over me. That is why we are here. This video is not about showing you how to hit back or defeat anyone. It is about learning how to step out of their game, to become the version of yourself whose calm self-mastery and inner discipline make you untouchable to anyone who has ever hurt you. This is how Stoicism teaches us to turn pain into strength, silence into a weapon, and ourselves into an inner fortress no one can destroy. And if you stay until the end, you'll discover one truth: the real enemy was never out there. The real enemy is anger, resentment, and the thirst for revenge living inside your own mind. When you learn silence, you won't just defeat the one who hurt you, you'll set yourself free. So how do you begin that path? How do you move from betrayal and abandonment to the calm, unshakable state of a stoic warrior? It all starts with a foundational truth. Epictetus never stopped emphasizing, pain is real, but suffering is a choice. If you don't grasp this, every next step will collapse. And this is the first rule. Rule 1, pain is real, but suffering is your choice. In life, no one escapes pain. It can come from the betrayal of a trusted friend, the collapse of a relationship, a family member turning their back, or simply the harsh words spoken in the workplace. That sting is real, like the sharp cut of a blade on the skin. No one can deny its presence, but here's what few realize: that blade only cuts once yet. Whether it continues to bleed day after day, that is our choice. This is a brutal truth, but also a liberating one. Pain is real, but suffering is always chosen. Epictetus once said, "We are not troubled by events, but by the judgments we make about them." An event happens, it is just a fragment of reality. But when we begin to judge it, when we give it a negative meaning, when we trap ourselves in endless questions, why me? What if I had done things differently? That is when we turn a single cut into a wound that never heals. Imagine an American woman betrayed by her closest friend, her personal secret revealed at work. In the moment she finds out the pain is real, her face burns, her heart races, tears flood her eyes. That night she cries herself to exhaustion. But 6 months later, why does her chest tighten whenever she sees that name on social media? Not because the event has repeated, but because she's still holding on to the same fire in her mind. She replays that betrayal like a film on loop, and each time she does, she throws fuel onto the flame. The other person may have forgotten long ago, yet she has become a prisoner of the story. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, "Today I will meet people who are deceitful, treacherous, selfish, but I cannot let their flaws rob me of my tranquility." This was not a weak submission. It was a shield. It was the reminder that others may wound us, but whether that wound becomes a lifelong chain depends entirely on us. In today's world where social media amplifies every hurt, where even a cold message or a single scene without reply can throw our minds into chaos, this principle matters more than ever. If we don't learn to separate event from judgment, we remain slaves to every glance, every word, every careless action of others. The Stoics knew the event itself is just a fleeting contact, but the repetition in our minds, the story we construct, that is what deepens the wound. Instead of reacting immediately, we can pause and observe when pain arises. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is the event, but what I think about it will decide whether it continues to live. By doing so, we separate reality from the fog of emotion. The truth is the friend lied. Yes, but the story we attach, I am not good enough. I will always be betrayed. No one can be trusted. All of that exists only in our own minds. If we choose to release judgment, the event loses its grip. It becomes a lesson, not a life sentence. Interestingly, modern psychology echoes Stoicism. Therapists have observed what they call the trauma loop. The more we recall, analyze, and imagine, the more the brain reinforces the pain, turning it into a habitual thought pattern. Breaking this loop requires non-judgmental observation, precisely what Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus taught thousands of years ago. Pain you cannot avoid. A loved one may betray a partner, may leave a colleague, may step on you to climb higher. But prolonged suffering, that is your decision. You can retell that story daily, close the chapter, keep the lesson and move on. Pain is the blade on your skin. Suffering is the salt you scatter on the wound yourself. And remember, when you choose not to suffer, you are not denying the pain. You still acknowledge and feel it, but do not let it steer your life. You turn it into a marker of growth, not a burden to drag along. The Stoics did not seek to escape emotions or pretend that nothing happened. They chose to face it, but with self-mastery. They looked at the event and said, "This happened. It hurt me, but it does not define me. I will decide who I become after this pain." In that, you discover freedom. So every time pain returns, pause and ask yourself, am I hurting because of the event or the story I have attached to it? That answer will reveal the truth. Pain is real, but suffering has never been mandatory. And once you realize this, you have taken the first solid step on the Stoic path. And once you understand that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice, a new question arises: if I no longer want to suffer, how should I act when betrayed, insulted, or trampled on? Instinct pushes us to seek revenge, strike back, and reclaim balance. However, Stoicism teaches that true power does not lie in hurting others, as we once did, but in keeping ourselves from losing self-mastery. And that brings us to the second rule. Rule 2, master yourself, do not seek revenge. When betrayed, insulted, or sabotaged, the first instinct for most of us is revenge. The mind immediately constructs scenarios. If I see them again, I'll say this and shut them up. I'll expose their true face to everyone. I'll make them taste the pain they gave me. In that moment, we feel as if we're taking back power. But in truth, we are only enslaving ourselves to emotion. You still let someone else control your mind whenever you feed your anger and thirst for revenge. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The person who wrongs you destroys themselves, not you. But if you are drawn into revenge, then you destroy yourself." This is a painful but liberating truth. Others may hurt you once, but when you obsess over revenge, you allow them to hurt you again and again in your own mind. You let them live inside your head, dictating every feeling, every action. And in doing so, you lose the most precious thing of all, your self-mastery. Picture a company meeting in the US. In front of everyone, a colleague mocks you with a cutting remark. The whole room laughs. Heat rises to your face, your chest tightens, and instinct screams to fire back with a sharp retort to regain dignity. If you do, perhaps you silence them momentarily, but you also lower yourself onto the same battlefield. The meeting is no longer about work, it has become a petty duel. And in the eyes of others, both of you lose composure. But if you respond with a calm smile, continue your presentation, or even step out with quiet poise, you strip their provocation of meaning. They want your reaction to prove they have power. But your calm silence is the most decisive blow you can deliver. The Stoics call this apatheia, the state of not being ruled by destructive emotions. Not apathy, but mastery, where feelings never become weapons against you. Revenge gives you a fleeting sweetness, but leaves a bitter aftertaste. Calmness, on the other hand, not only keeps you steady, but also robs the other person of power. No one can control the one who does not react. In modern life, examples are everywhere. Someone betrayed in love rushes to prove they are happier by posting curated joy online to show their ex what they've lost. Yet every caption and photo is still a confession. I'm not free of you. I still need you to see me. Actual Stoic revenge is silent, no proof, no performance, just the building of your own life. When you no longer crave to show them, that's when you have reclaimed mastery. Epictetus stressed, no one can harm you without your consent. They may insult you, but only you decide whether it becomes a wound. They may abandon you, but only you decide whether it becomes a chain. They may betray you, but only you decide whether it becomes a reason for vengeance or a chance to grow. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies of the revenge loop reveal that thoughts of retaliation activate the brain's pleasure centers. But the satisfaction is short-lived, soon replaced by emptiness, stress, and obsession. In contrast, those who restrain themselves, remain calm, and reinvest their energy into personal goal show longer-term stability and fulfillment. Ask yourself, do you want to win a fleeting skirmish, or do you want to win your life? Revenge may grant you a minute of triumph, but self-mastery gives you a lifetime of freedom. Strength is not always striking back. It does not need to. Your silence and composure are the declaration. You hold no power here anymore. And as you begin to practice this rule, you'll discover something remarkable. The more others want to see you lose control, the more your calm unsettles them. The harder they provoke, the more they expose their own weakness. And you, by holding firm, radiate strength. Loud revenge can never rival the quiet victory of a disciplined soul. And when you have learned to restrain the instinct for revenge to keep calm, even in the face of insult, you will rise to a higher level of inner power. You will realize that silence and composure are not just shields to protect you, they are the ultimate weapons that make you untouchable. Now it is time we step into Rule 3. Peace is the ultimate power. There's a paradox in modern life. The louder someone screams to prove their strength, the clearer it becomes how fragile they truly are inside. Those who hold real power don't need noise. They sit still like mountains, like oceans, radiating an authority from their calmness that commands respect from the world. The Stoics called this the highest form of power, inner peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The one who finds peace within is unshaken by the storms without." Peace is not running away from reality, nor pretending pain never happened. Peace is looking straight at the truth, accepting it, and remaining steady. When others rage, you stay silent. When others attack you, hold your ground. When the world tries to drag you into chaos, you choose stillness. And in that stillness, you become untouchable. Picture this: you're at an American workplace deadline pressing, and your boss lashes out at you in front of everyone, placing all the blame on your shoulders. Every colleague turns to watch your response. If you shout back, make excuses, or spiral into panic, you prove how easily you can be pulled off your center. But if you breathe deeply, look your boss in the eye and calmly say, "I understand your concern. I'll review and get back to you." Then return to your work. You have seized control. Your peace silences the room. They didn't expect peace, they expected an explosion. By refusing to explode, you shattered the script they set for you. Many mistake peace for passivity or surrender. However, in Stoicism, peace is the highest form of agency. It is not the absence of emotion, but the presence of control. You cannot command the wind to stop blowing, but you can adjust the sails. You cannot order the waves to stop crashing, but you can learn to steer. Peace is the power to master your own sails. Modern science agrees. Research shows that those who remain calm under pressure make better decisions, commit fewer mistakes, and achieve more lasting success. A Harvard study found that the most trusted leaders were not the loudest or most eloquent, but those who remained calm when chaos broke out. This proves that peace is not just philosophy, it is leadership, a competitive advantage in the modern world. Think back to the last time you lost your temper. Do you remember exactly what you said? Probably not, but you remember the look in others' eyes and the following regret. Anger is satisfied, but peace holds value for a lifetime. When you choose silence and select stillness, you save yourself from words you can't take back and show others you are not easily broken. Seneca once said, "The strongest person is the one who has control over themselves." Peace is the peak of self-control. When you reach this state, what others say or do no longer defines you. They may slander, deceive, or betray, but they cannot breach the fortress of calm you've built within your mind. That is a strength no weapon can destroy. In everyday life, you'll meet people who thrive on drama, who try to pull you into their games. They want your anger because your anger feeds their sense of power. But when you remain peaceful, they are left alone in chaos. Your non-reaction becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their weakness. Peace is also the root of creativity and happiness. A mind unoccupied by hatred and rage has building energy for loving, for creating value. You begin to see the treasures in the small things, the quiet of a morning, a friend's laughter, the warmth of sunlight. And in that moment, the person who hurt you vanishes, not because you defeated them, but because peace erased their hold on you. Here's the irony. Your enemies often hope you'll destroy yourself with anger and your sleeplessness and anxiety. They want you broken. But when you choose peace, you deny them that victory. You live, you work, you love, you grow. In your silence, they hear the collapse of their plans against you. Peace is the ultimate power because it cannot be taken. Wealth can be lost. Status can change, relationships can end. But once you've built inner peace, it is yours forever. The source of strength holds you steady no matter how the world turns. And once you understand that peace is your greatest weapon, you'll see another truth to protect it. You need boundaries. Not walls of stone, but walls of principle, the limits you set to ensure no one can trespass into your soul. This brings us to Rule 4: boundaries are Stoic justice. We often think of justice as something that happens in court laws and public trials. But to the Stoics, justice is not something you must search for outside. It begins with what you allow and do not allow into your own life. Stoic justice is the ability to set boundaries that protect your inner peace, which is far more valuable than any public victory. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This means you do not need anger or schemes to respond to those who have harmed you. You are practicing justice by holding to your principles and refusing to be dragged down to their level. And to do that, you must learn to set boundaries. Boundaries are not selfishness. They are self-respecting. Imagine you invite someone into your home and they repeatedly dirty and damage your belongings. Would you keep inviting them? Of course not. So why in life do you allow people who bring chaos, lies, and pain to walk freely in and out of your mind? Boundaries are the doors you control, open or shut. And only when you learn to shut the door to what is toxic are you practicing true justice for yourself. In the American workplace, many fall into burnout because they cannot say no. They take on more tasks, though already overloaded, endure unreasonable customer complaints, and tolerate rude colleagues out of fear of displeasing others. Yet Stoicism teaches no one can harm you unless you allow it. A firm no, a decisive silence. The choice to walk away at the right moment, these are the acts of justice that restore your balance and your peace. Seneca warned, "Others steal more of our time than we willingly waste." Every time you allow someone to overstep to drain your energy and mind, you grant them the right to rob you of your most precious resource. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about keeping your life from being consumed by negativity. They are not coldness, they are clarity. Take a real example. Emma, an American woman, once shared her story of exhaustion after years in a dishonest relationship. Her partner repeatedly broke promises, shifted blame, and eroded her trust in herself. Only when Emma set a boundary saying, "I will not accept this anymore," did she reclaim her life. She didn't need to argue or seek revenge. She walked away and peace returned. Her boundary was justice. In modern America, where the busy culture pushes people to overcommit, boundaries matter more than ever. You don't have to accept every invitation. You don't have to join every argument. You don't have to answer every call immediately. You have the right to choose what enters your life and what stays outside the door. This is a higher justice for your soul. And when you begin to live with boundaries, you'll notice something strange. Those who once manipulated you will grow restless, even angry, mocking you. Why? Because they were used to you having no walls. But their resistance is proof that your boundaries are working. Don't fear it. It is the sign you are finally protecting yourself. Peace cannot exist without boundaries. You cannot sit in a house with expansive open windows and expect the storm not to rush in. You must learn to close the door. And in Stoic philosophy, closure is a form of justice. Quiet, unseen, but strong enough to keep you steady in a chaotic world. When you set boundaries, you also learn to distinguish between what you control and what you don't. You control whether you answer an insulting call. You control whether you keep engaging with someone who only belittles you. But you do not control what they think or how they behave. Justice then lies not in changing them, but in protecting yourself. Setting boundaries is both firm and compassionate. Firm because you deny toxicity entry. Compassionate because you preserve enough peace to keep loving, creating, and contributing to what truly matters. And when others see your unshaken silence, they'll understand you can no longer be easily manipulated. Once you've built those boundaries, you will feel lighter. But then another question arises: what about forgiveness? Does setting boundaries mean I can never forgive? This is the paradox many struggle with. Forgiveness does not mean reunion, nor does it mean reopening the door to those who hurt you. Forgiveness is release. And that brings us to Rule 5. Forgiveness is release, not reunion. When someone hurts you, the first instinct is often to cling tightly to anger. Forgiveness means excusing them, accepting what they did, or permitting them to do it again. Because of this misunderstanding, many people hold on to resentment, letting it eat away at them through sleepless nights, heavy mornings, and poisoned future relationships. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Forgiveness is not a ticket for someone to re-enter your life. It is the key that unlocks your prison of bitterness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Remove the feeling of being wronged, and the wrong itself disappears." A simple line, yet it contains a profound truth. The wound stops bleeding, not because someone apologized, but because you stop scratching it open daily. From a Stoic view, forgiveness is something you do for yourself, not for them. Picture holding a burning coal, waiting to throw it at your enemy. Who gets burned first? You do. Anger and hatred work the same way. Each day you hold on to them. You let them scorch your mind, drain your energy, and corrode your faith in life. Forgiveness is dropping that coal, not to keep the other person safe, but to stop your hand from burning. In America today, many people remain trapped in the past because they're waiting for an apology. They think if he apologizes, if she admits fault, then I can move on. But what if that apology never comes? Will you stay stuck forever imprisoned by yesterday? Forgiveness is granting yourself freedom, even if they never acknowledge their wrongs. Forgiveness is not reunion. It is not an invitation back. It is a one-way ticket out of the dark room of resentment. Seneca once warned, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The betrayal already happened, and the insult had already occurred. Yet most of the pain we carry afterward comes from our minds from replaying the story hundreds of times. Forgiveness in the Stoic sense is breaking that loop. It does not erase memory, but ends the endless reenactment of suffering. Take a simple example. John, an office worker in Chicago, was once betrayed by a close friend in a business deal. He lost sleep for months, consumed by rage, vowing never to forgive. But when he began journaling in the Stoic way, he confronted the harsh truth his betrayer might already be enjoying life while he remained a prisoner of the past. So John chose forgiveness not to restore the friendship, but to release himself. In that moment, peace returned. Forgiveness does not mean you let those who hurt you remain in your life. On the contrary, forgiveness works hand in hand with boundaries. You can forgive them, but you still never see them again. You can let go of bitterness while blocking their number, avoiding contact, and moving forward. Forgiveness is the work inside. Boundaries are the work outside. Together, they free you and protect you. One of the greatest misconceptions is that forgiveness makes you weak. But in reality, only the strong can truly forgive. The weak cling to hatred because it gives them the illusion of strength. The strong look directly at the wound, accept it, and then refuse to let it define them. In the Stoic sense, forgiveness is ultimate strength. It requires mastering yourself instead of allowing the past to lead you. Epictetus stressed, "It is not what happens that harms us, but how we view it." Forgiveness is a shift in view, from "I am a victim" to "I am someone who learned." From "I was betrayed" to "I now know the boundary that protects me." Forgiveness is not forgetting, it is transformation. If you doubt this, try a simple exercise. Write down what someone did that hurt you. Write down how it made you feel. Then write the story you keep replaying in your mind. Afterward, rewrite it into a new version that frees you. For example, "He left me, which proves I am not enough," can become, "He left me, which revealed a truth. I deserve a more honest relationship." That is forgiveness, changing the story so you reclaim your freedom. Once you see forgiveness as release, you feel lighter, less burdened. But Stoicism does not stop at letting go. Forgiveness opens the door to something more profound, transforming pain into rebirth. Because if you only release but do not learn, the pain is wasted. And that leads us to Rule 6, learn from pain to be reborn. In life, no one escapes pain. Some pain comes from loss, some from betrayal, some from failure we never saw coming. But the difference between those who collapse and those who become unbreakable is not in the pain itself, it lies in how they face it and what they learn from it. A Stoic understands pain is inevitable, but turning pain into strength is a choice, and that choice is rebirth. Imagine going through a breakup. Everything has collapsed. Trust shattered, the future clouded in darkness. Most people in that situation ask, "Why me? How could they do this to me?" And they get stuck in the loop of questions that never have answers. A Stoic, however, changes the question. They do not ask why, but instead, what must I do now with this pain? That shift opens a new door, the door to rebirth. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." One betrayed person may live in bitterness forever. Another, facing the same betrayal, chooses to learn the limits of trust, to guard their heart more wisely, and to never trade themselves away for fragile illusions. Same pain, two different outcomes. One is prison, the other is liberation. In America today, countless people face sudden career collapse. A worker laid off after decades of service, a business owner bankrupt from a failed venture, a student rejected from their dream school. These shocks can crush people into despair. But from those moments, many have found unexpected new paths of rebirth. They discover that their job was not their only identity, money not their only measure of worth. They begin investing in deeper values, health discipline, inner peace, and in time they emerge stronger than before the fall. Seneca once wrote, difficulty strengthen the mind as fire tempers steel. Steel only becomes hard when thrown into the furnace, heated and hammered. People are the same. Only in adversity do we truly discover our endurance and resilience. Pain is the fire that tests us, the forge that shapes us. If you dare to stand in that fire without running, you emerge sharper, steadier, stronger. But remember, suffering does not automatically become strength. It only becomes strength when you choose to learn. A failed love may leave you hopeless or teach you that real love never grows from blind dependence. A career setback may destroy you or show you the need to build stronger skills, a sharper mindset, and independence beyond one position. That is the difference between being swallowed by pain and using pain to be reborn. Pain can be the harshest teacher, but also the most honest one. It never lies. When someone betrays you, pain teaches that your trust was misplaced. When a door closes, pain shows you were too attached to what was never yours. When you fail, pain teaches humility, discipline, and preparation. Every wound carries a lesson. If you dare to listen, it will lead you to a new version of yourself. Modern psychology calls this post-traumatic growth, when people don't just recover after hardship, but grow wiser, stronger, more resilient. This echoes the Stoic spirit that Marcus Aurelius captured. What stands in the way becomes the way. Pain is not an obstacle, it is the step that lifts you higher. Try a Stoic exercise whenever you face hardship. Instead of asking, why did this happen? Write down, what can I learn from this? Be specific. Maybe you ignored warning signs. Perhaps you expected too much. Maybe you lack discipline. Each realization is a lesson. And by writing it down, you transform pain from a meaningless wound into a chapter of growth. Learning from pain does not mean denying emotion. You are still allowed to cry, to grieve, to rage. But afterward, let those emotions fade and replace them with reflection. Just like steel forged in fire, at first it burns, but once cooled, you see how much stronger it has become. Your pain works the same way. Let it burn you into clarity, then harden into wisdom. When you start learning from pain, the past no longer terrifies you. Each memory stops being a knife in your heart and becomes a page in a sacred book of lessons. Slowly you realize that you are no longer a victim. You are a student of life itself. To the Stoics, this is true freedom, not freedom from hardship, but freedom in how you see and respond to it. And once you learn from pain, you see something even greater. You are the one holding the pen, writing your life story. If not, others will write it for you with their betrayals, lies, and mistakes. That brings us to Rule 7. You are the author of your own story. There is a truth many people refuse to face. If you do not write the story of your life, someone else will write it for you. And the cruelest part is they will write it in a way that makes you the victim, the weak one, or the failure. You may have lived in chapters you did not create for too long. You let betrayal define your trust. You let abandonment write your worth. You let an insult become a haunting memory, and little by little you believe that was the truth about you. But the Stoic does not allow this. The Stoic takes back the pen and begins writing with their own hand. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you repeat the old story, I'm not good enough, I always get betrayed, I'll never succeed, those very lines become your reality. But if you change the narrative within you to I am strong enough to endure, I know how to choose those who are worthy, I control my reactions, then you are writing a new chapter, a new reality. Imagine each day as a blank page. You have two choices: allow others to scribble on it with contempt and manipulation, or take the pen and inscribe the values you choose to live by. A betraying friend may write, "You were foolish to trust," but if you hold the pen, you can revise it. I learned how to set stronger boundaries. A failure at work may result in a comment such as, "You are incompetent." But in your hands, the line becomes, "I gained the skills I need for the next challenge." Do you see the same event, but with a different author transforms the story's meaning completely? In America, there are countless examples. Some lost everything after the financial crisis, seemingly crushed beyond repair. But instead of letting the story, "I went bankrupt, my life is over," dominate them, they rewrote it. "I learned that money is a tool, and discipline and wisdom are my true assets." From that new chapter, they built stronger, more sustainable lives. Others, however, let failure write for them. They replayed the old narrative until they were trapped forever as characters in an endless tragedy. The Stoics knew that the story you tell yourself matters more than any story about you. Say, "I am a victim," and you become one. Say, "I am a survivor," and you survive. Say, "I am the creator of my life," and you become exactly that. This is why rewriting your story is one of the most practical, powerful Stoic exercises. Try this. Sit down with a notebook and write 3 of the most painful moments in your past. Then right beneath each one, rewrite the story differently. If the old line is, "They left me when I needed them most," the new line becomes, "I learned how to stand on my own feet." If the old line is, "I failed in my career," the new line becomes, "I gained the lessons for lasting success." If the old line is, "They disrespected me," the new line becomes, "I don't need others' approval to know my worth." Each time you rewrite, you take the pen back. And here's the miracle: when you change the story in your mind, your emotions follow. Anger gives way to calm. Bitterness turns into clarity. Fear is replaced by courage. That is the power of authorship. It does not erase the past, it transforms it into treasure. It does not erase pain, it makes pain a teacher. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The story you tell yourself is your imagination. If you don't control it, it will control you. So pause and ask, what story am I telling myself? Does it make me stronger or weaker? Does it free me or cage me? Becoming aware of this question is already the first step in reclaiming authorship of your life. Holding the pen means you no longer depend on others' apologies or recognition. Your story is no longer about them, but about you. Your strength, your peace, your rebirth. And with each page, the book of your life becomes brighter, stronger, a testament to an unshakable soul. And once you've taken back the pen and begun writing your own story, you will realize one thing: you don't always need words to prove yourself. Sometimes the most incredible power lies not in what you say, but in the silence you keep. Because silence itself can be the answer that makes those who hurt you tremble. Which brings us to Rule 8: silence is the strongest counterattack. When we are insulted, betrayed, or humiliated, our first impulse is often to snap back. The tongue wants to strike, prove we are not weak, and make the other person pay with their own words. Yet this is the most dangerous trap, because in that instant of reaction, we surrender control, our emotions and actions fall into their hands. And what they crave most is to see us lose control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Anger and grief harm us more than the wrongs that provoke them. The explosion of rage only deepens your wound. Silence, however, does the opposite. When you choose not to react, you send a message far more powerful. You are not important enough for my voice." That silence is not weakness, it is iron discipline, an invisible wall that blocks every poisoned arrow. Picture a workplace meeting. A bitter colleague throws a sarcastic jab at you in front of everyone. The room goes quiet, eyes fixed on you, waiting for your response. If you fire back, an argument ignites and your lack of composure becomes a story. But if you smile, stay silent, and return to your work, who truly loses face? It's them, the one who tried to provoke you and failed, left with no reward for their effort. That is victory in silence. Epictetus taught, "It is not what others say or do that disturbs us, but how we judge them." By staying silent, you refuse hasty judgment. You step outside the emotional storm they want to drag you into. Silence is not avoidance, but a conscious choice, a refusal to be led by their strings. And in that moment, true power belongs to you. Look at modern America, where daily fiery debates and online dramas rage. People fight, argue, and claw for victory in the court of public opinion. But who truly wins? No one. Anger displayed in public stains both sides. The wise choose silence. They don't waste words, they let time and their actions prove everything. Silence becomes a shield and a sword, cutting through lies without a single sound. Consider this: some celebrities are bombarded with false rumors. Many rush to defend themselves with angry posts or counterattacks, but the strongest remain silent, focusing on their craft, shining in their work. Over time, the noise fades and the truth emerges. The malicious voices collapse under their own weight. That is the power of silence in its purest form. In Stoicism, silence is not the cold suppression of feelings, but the art of transforming them. You acknowledge anger and feel its heat, but do not let it drive you. Silence is not fear, but wisdom. The wisdom to refuse a petty fight when your actual battle is with yourself. Seneca reminded us the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And what could be more unlike them than silence? They choose noise, you select stillness. They choose humiliation, you choose composure. They choose drama, you choose calm. In that contrast, they collapse into emptiness. Their shouts unanswered, their arrows falling harmlessly to the ground. Silence also has another power: it unsettles your opponent. When you do not react, they wonder, what are they thinking? What are they planning? Why aren't they speaking? The mystery becomes a mirror reflecting their weakness. They grow restless while you walk on in quiet strength, needing no justification. Today's world treats silence as a loss, as if the louder voice always wins. But the Stoic knows the opposite: silence is the true victory. It shows you do not need validation. You do not need an audience. You have already won the highest battle, the battle against yourself. Make it a habit: when attacked, pause. Take a deep breath. Remember that silence is not defeat, it is mastery. Then let your actions speak. Your success, discipline, and peace will become the sharpest reply, a reply that makes no sound. Once you master silence, you will discover something more profound. Silence protects you and radiates outward. It makes you a lighthouse of calm in storms of chaos, a pillar of steadiness for those around you. And that leads us to rule and be the calm others can rely on. There is a truth few recognize. Your state of mind does not belong only to you. It ripples outward like invisible waves, touching everyone around you. In your family, work, or social spaces, your energy is like an atmosphere surrounding others. If you panic, if you rage, if you let anxiety rule you, that energy spreads and unsettles those near you. But if you remain calm and steady, even in chaos, others feel safe simply because you are there. This is a silent power, a wordless authority, becoming the calm others can lean on. Picture an American family sitting together in their living room, the television flashing headlines about economic collapse, wars, and disasters. A child turns to their father trembling. What will happen to us? The child's panic grows as the father rushes about, consumed by fear. But if the father sits down, wraps an arm around the child, and says slowly, "It's going to be okay." What matters is that we stay calm and do what's within our control. The very tone, the presence, the steadiness becomes medicine. No long speeches, no lectures. Just calmness embodied, and the whole family steadies with him. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let your mind be like a solid rock against which the waves crash, shattering themselves, but the rock remains unmoved." The Stoics understood that one person's calm can anchor an entire group. In the workplace, too, when a project collapses and everyone grows tense, it is not the loudest plan that carries the team. It is the steady voice of a leader who remains calm, deliberate, and composed. That presence sends a signal more powerful than any strategy. We will get through this. Things are still under control. and the group finds its balance again. The Stoic trains not only to be calm, but also to become a lantern for others in darkness. Epictetus urged, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Rather than preaching endlessly about staying calm, let your life reactions and steadiness be the lesson. Influence born of presence is more substantial and more lasting than words. In daily life, some people bring peace simply by entering a room. They don't need to talk much, they don't try to impress. Yet their presence makes hearts slow down and noise fade. This is not a gift of nature, but the fruit of discipline. They have stood in storms without being swept away. They have learned to observe instead of react, to anchor instead of drift. And now their steadiness radiates as a quiet force. Modern psychology calls this emotional contagion, the spread of group feelings. Studies show that panic spreads quickly if just one person succumbs to it. But the reverse is also true. When one person holds steady, their calm spreads outward, triggering a chain reaction of stability. The Stoics knew this thousands of years ago. That is why they saw calmness as a gift to oneself and a duty to the community. A father who stays calm when the family is in crisis. A mother who remains composed when her children stumble. A leader who keeps clarity when storms hit, all practicing Stoicism at its highest level. They rescue not only themselves from emotional whirlpools, but those around them. This is a form of silent heroism, not by wielding a sword or shouting, but standing firm with an unshaken spirit. Seneca reminded, "The man who lives in peace of mind lives as if he has achieved the greatest success." At this level, your calm does not free only you. It frees others who walk with you. They look at you and see living proof, no matter what happens, peace is still possible, and that gift is priceless. Ask yourself, who do you want to be in the storm? The one adding to the chaos, or the one standing firm, guiding others through? The Stoic chooses steadiness, knowing that calm is the rarest strength capable of transforming a room, a family, or a community. Once you have become the calm others draw strength from you, realize the final truth. Calmness is not only for protecting your own peace, it is a force that leads, inspires, and transforms. And that brings us to Rule 10, turn your calm into a guiding light for others. There comes a moment in life when others look to you for answers. Not because you have spoken the most, but because in chaos, you are the one who remains still. In family, at work, or within a larger community, there are times when you become the marker by which others measure safety. If you panic, they lose faith. If you remain calm, steady, and composed, your presence becomes a light that guides them. This is the height of Stoic practice, not only protecting yourself, but also radiating calm as a shared force for the community. Marcus Aurelius emphasized, live as though your every act were to be written and published. This means you don't need to preach, you don't need to persuade. By living fully in the Stoic way, you become proof of self-mastery, inner strength, and unshaken resolve. Others see you, and without a word, they learn how to live. Picture a workplace in America. A team faces the collapse of a vital contract. Tension spreads, blame flies. But then you, the one who holds steady, speaks slowly. We cannot change what's past, but we can choose our next step. These are short words, but combined with calm eyes and a steady tone, they transform the atmosphere. People begin to breathe more slowly, regain clarity, and solutions appear. You not only save yourself from panic, you rescue the group as well. This is the essence of leading by example. The Stoic does not dominate with power or words, but with mastery of themselves. Epictetus said, "Don't just say you study philosophy, will you live it in?" By staying composed in adversity, you send a message more powerful than any speech. It is possible to remain calm even when the world shakes. And that message inspires more than 1,000 lectures. Modern psychology calls this social modeling. People learn more through observation than instruction. A child learns calmness not from hearing their parents say, "Stay calm," but from watching them refuse to shout in crisis. An employee learns steadiness from seeing their leader remain upright under pressure. A friend learns dignity when you decline to join a petty argument. You don't need to force change in others. Change yourself, live as the model, and they will naturally follow. But to become this guiding light, you must first walk the long path of discipline. No one can hide inner chaos forever. If inside you still churn with resentment, fear, or impulsiveness, it will eventually surface. To radiate calm, you must truly possess it. This is where Stoic practice sharpens you journaling to confront the mind memento mori, to remember death, focusing only on what you can control and releasing what you cannot. Each habit, each discipline lays the stone for your inner fortress, and once it is built, you can shield yourself and others. Seneca reminded, we are not born for ourselves alone. 1,000 ties bind us to our fellow men. Your calm is not only your treasure, but a gift to the world. When you are calm, others find clarity. When you stand firm, others find hope. When you refuse to answer insult with insult, you teach dignity. When you forgive in silence, you plant seeds of healing. This is how a Stoic life itself becomes a living lesson for humanity. Think of someone you've known who embodied this rule, a teacher who never lost patience, a grandfather who sat quietly reading the paper while family chaos swirled, calming everyone with a single look, a friend who was never dragged into drama, but whose presence made everything lighter. These are the bearers of Rule 10. They do not keep calm only for themselves, they turn it into a light for everyone near them. And this is the final responsibility Stoicism lays on us. Live not only free for yourself, but in a way that inspires others to find freedom too. Without fame, without applause, simply by your presence, by staying calm in the storm, you become strength for the weary. As we reach Rule 10, the journey through these practices comes full circle. But this is not the end. These 10 rules are not fragments. They form one unified picture of the art of self-mastery in adversity. Now is the moment to look back on the whole journey, to see the thread that connects them, and to uncover the true essence of the freedom Stoicism has always promised. The big picture, 10 Stoic rules for inner freedom. Looking back at all 10 rules you see, they are not fragments, but bricks laid individually to build an inner fortress. The first rule reminds us that pain is real, but suffering is chosen. Modern therapy calls this the moment of awareness. When you separate emotion from reaction, you are already halfway free from the chains of the past. Lesson: you don't need to run from pain. You only need to stop turning it into a loop in your mind. The second teaches us to master ourselves instead of seeking revenge. As Americans often say, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Psychology confirms that retaliation only prolongs stress in the body. Lesson: true victory is keeping calm, not winning the argument. The third shows that peace is the ultimate strength. From an expert's view, this is resetting the nervous system. Choosing calm stops the body from living in fight or flight mode. It protects the soul, but also heals the body. Lesson: calm is the most innovative way to save energy for what matters most. The fourth presents boundaries as Stoic justice. In behavioral therapy, boundaries are the foundation of self-respect. No one can walk through a door you have not opened. Lesson: saying no is not selfish. It is an act of fairness to your soul. The fifth rule teaches that forgiveness is release, not reunion. Therapists affirm forgiveness does not require the offender's presence. It is a gift you give yourself. Lesson: you can drop resentment while still keeping a safe distance. The sixth shows that pain is the teacher of rebirth. In positive psychology, this is post-traumatic growth, becoming wiser, stronger, and deeper after hardship. Lesson: every wound carries a seed of transformation if you dare to face it. The seventh rule declares you are the author of your own story. Narrative therapy uses this tool, rewriting the story in a new frame. Lesson: don't let others write a journal of despair for you. Take the pen back and write chapters of strength. The eighth reveals that silence is the sharpest counterattack. Communication experts agree silence is not empty, it is a message. It forces the other to face themselves. Less than timely silence says with power, "You no longer control me." The ninth reminds us that emotional detachment is true freedom. This is the highest level of emotional intelligence, observing feelings without being trapped in them. Lesson: you're not running away from the world, you're stepping out of your instinctive prison. And finally, the 10th redefines strength as resilience. Emotion researchers call this resilience the ability to bend and return stronger. Strength is not never falling, but rising each time you do. Lesson: you don't need to prove anything to anyone, only show yourself that pain cannot destroy you. Put together, these 10 rules form a complete fortress. Not a fortress to hide in, but one from which to live freely in a world of betrayal and harm. That is the Stoic path, liberation from the invisible chains others have tied around you. There is a brutal truth few face: most of the pain we carry year after year is no longer caused by those who hurt us, we cause it. By replaying the old story, by scratching at the scar in memory. Marcus Aurelius warned, if you are distressed by anything external, this pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. In this, you have the power to revoke at any moment, which means the only one still hurting you now is you, and the way out is to stop. Modern psychology calls this breaking the emotional loop. A painful event is like a lightning strike, sudden sharp. But our thoughts turn it into a storm that drags on. We add thunder, rain, and wind, with each replay, retelling, and analysis. And that storm is what exhausts us. The Stoic lesson is simple: stop fueling a fire that is already burned out. Epictetus taught, you cannot control what others do, but you can always control your response. And the most significant response is not retaliation. It is silence to protect your energy, then reinvesting that energy into building a new life. That is true liberation. Now ask yourself honestly, how often has a single word, a glance, or a left-on-read message haunted you for days? How frequently have you carried anger from work home, loading it on those you love? How often have you let a betrayer live rent-free in your mind, dictating your daily emotions? If you are honest, the answer is too many times. And this is why the Stoic path exists, to show you that your peace, freedom, and strength do not depend on them. They rely only on you. It is time to take it back. You were not born to remain a victim. You were born to be the architect of your own inner fortress. The 10 Stoic rules we've walked through are tools to endure and a map for rebuilding. You can begin today by sitting down, writing out every old wound and asking yourself, how long have I let this story control me? How much longer do I want it to? Therapists call this reframing. When placed under new light, a tragedy can become the raw material for growth. Instead of whispering, I was betrayed because I wasn't good enough, you can rewrite, I learned a valuable lesson about trust, and I am stronger because of it. When you redefine your pain, you step out of the role of victim and take the wheel of your own life. This is the meeting point between modern psychology and Stoic philosophy. True liberation comes when pain is given meaning. You don't deny the wound, but decide what story it will tell. For you listening now, the most profound lesson is this: don't let someone who hurt you once continue to hurt you for years. They are gone. They have left your story. The choice to hold on or to release is yours alone. Forgiveness is not letting them return. It is choosing not to carry them with you every day. Boundaries are not selfishness you declare to the world. This is the territory of peace. No one may trespass. When you sit still, refusing to react or be dragged into battle, many will think you are weak. But the truth is, it takes strength to remain silent. It takes discipline to stay calm. And it takes true freedom to walk forward without needing to explain yourself. Once you understand and apply these 10 rules, one truth becomes clear. Pain is unavoidable, but prolonged suffering is your choice. You can choose to release. You can choose silence. You can need to rewrite your story, and when you choose rightly, you step into freedom. That is the ancient promise of Stoicism. No one can control your soul unless you allow them. And from this moment forward, you no longer allow it. If today's words touched an old wound within you, let it become the key that opens the door to freedom. Start with one rule: stay silent in the face of provocation, or rewrite one heavy story you've carried for years. You will feel the difference instantly. And if you need more, come back here. Walk with us at Sovereign Stoic, where we build the inner fortress together, where pain is no longer a chain, but fuel for freedom. Don't forget to subscribe to Sovereign Stoic and share this video with someone who may need it. Because sometimes a single reminder today can save a soul tomorrow. True freedom doesn't come when the world stops hurting you. It comes when you stop giving the world permission to control you. That is the power of Stoicism. See you in the following video.